Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another Macabre Daily interview. I am Brian Finnerty, and today I'm really happy to be joined by Mr. Cullen Wade. And before anybody asks, that is his real name. It is not a pseudonym.
A pseudo swim, if you will.
Oh no, we're starting with
Yeah,
the puns already.
it's all good.
I'm supposed to do that. That's my job.
Oh, my bad. Okay. You can restart it. We'll try it again.
How are you today, Cullen?
I'm great. Yeah, thanks so much for having me on, for inviting me. It was last time I did one of these, I it was during our big snow and it was very cozy. I was buried under, about 4 inches of snow and about 5 inches of ice on top of that. So I wasn't going anywhere. And then we missed this latest one, unfortunately, but it sounds like y'all got hammered.
Yes, we're currently buried under about probably about two feet of snow up here right now. So
Wow. Yeah.
not to be too tortured with my transitions, but I am just dreaming of pool season up here right now. Um, which brings us to why we are talking today. You wrote an incredible book
Thank you.
that I just realized I should have thought about this before I started recording. I'm trying to think of how to say the name and show how clever it is. But it's called Splasher Flicks, right? Uh, oh yes, the visual cue with the P in parentheses. So Splasher Flicks, the cinema or the swimming pool in horror cinema.
That was my original title, my preferred title. And I felt very excited about it when I came up with it. And then for a while, it was looking like the publisher wanted to not use it and do something a little, I guess, house style. There were some conversations about whether it was going to be a little too playful and
Mhm.
not quite academic enough or even descriptive enough for the press, but cooler heads prevailed, and we got Splasher Flicks.
I
Which, yeah,
think
I'm a big fan of
I
my
think the
own
title
turn of phrase.
the title tells you exactly what it is. And this is it was published by McFarland, correct?
Yes. Yep.
And just came out this past December. It was published.
December, yes. I think the official publication date is December 11th, but they didn't start becoming available until the 21st. So I
Okay,
had me a solstice baby.
nice. And this is your first published book, right?
Yes, it is.
How does it feel just generally to like have something you wrote out there in the world?
I'm really excited. I particularly shout out to McFarland once again. I think they were my first choice for someone to submit it to because I've been reading their books for 20 years, starting with the John Kenneth Muir horror films of the 1970s and 80s and then 90s. And he's got 2010s coming out, which I'm very excited about.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I've been a big fan of their press for quite some time. So they were the first ones that I reached out to, and they ended up buying the book, which when I tell other writers about it, I think it gets me a little bit hated.
Oh, I'm sure they're very mad at you.
Yeah.
Oh, but congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you.
we're definitely gonna dive. Oh my God, I just fell into that one. We're gonna dive into the book. That was not planned, I swear.
It's
Please
impossible
don't
to
turn off the
avoid.
recording.
It is impossible to avoid. We're gonna get that. We're gonna talk about things being deep.
Uh,
We're gonna use something as a springboard into something else.
no, no.
It's inevitable. Don't worry
I
about
should
it.
I should have practiced this beforehand, avoid all the easy puns, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
yeah,
a good
yeah.
pun too. Um,
Yeah, you really should have gotten your filter in place.
should have dipped my toes into the subject, if you will.
Yeah. I think we might be pumping this one too much.
Oh, Jesus. My editor is going to fire me after this. They're like, no, no more interviews. So we were gonna talk about the book for sure. But with horror folk, I always like to start off just kind of generally by maybe just asking a little about your horror origin story. Like, how'd you
Mhm.
get into this genre?
I don't think I have a particularly interesting horror origin story. It's just always been very natural for me.
Hmm.
I always loved monsters as a kid, and um, for a while, I think before I got into horror films or literature, that manifested as being super interested in crypto, which we used to just be able to say, but now we have to specify not cryptocurrency, cryptozoology. I
The
was
creatures.
majorly into the Loch Ness Monster. I read like a bunch of books about Nessie before age like 7, I think. And then at age 7, I uh, watched The Silence of the Lambs, which was brand new. Uh,
Mhm.
I was living in Spain, and we had one television channel that showed movies in English, Canal Plus. So The Silence of the Lambs came on, and I think, you know, depending on whom I tell this story to, a lot of people are like, "Your parents let you watch that movie at that age?" I don't have kids.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's a perfectly wholesome movie to show a 7-year-old, honestly.
Honestly, I
There are
think I
much worse
watched it
things.
at that
What?
age too.
Yeah. And it gave me my first ever movie related nightmare, and
Mm,
I absolutely loved it. And never looked back. I think the next major one for me was Psycho.
yeah.
And then it was just, especially by the time I got to high school and was able to watch what I wanted to, it was
Mm,
off to the races. Yeah, I don't think I don't have theories as to why the genre resonates with some people as intuitively as it does.
mhm.
I know that I'm one of those people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even if you can't explain it, that's actually a cool way to put it. Just the idea that horror, yeah, it does. It just resonates with certain people. Like it's like
Yeah.
it either works or it doesn't. If you don't like it, you're going to be so turned off by it. But then for whatever reason, there's this subgroup of us that we see it, and it's like, nope, those are my people. That is where I
And
want
there
to
are
be.
and there are a lot of us, and
Mhm.
I think I know that some people are lucky enough to have a an older sibling or an aunt or uncle or some sort of elder in their life or a parent who introduces them and shepherds them and guides them. I don't know what my parents were doing watching The Silence of the Lambs because it was not their type of movie at all. My dad is very he um he describes himself as very cowardly. He can't do scary stuff at all.
Yeah.
Um, and so I don't really know. I think it was just because we were so desperate for content that was in English, So we
Yeah.
watched TV, you watch whatever was on Canal Plus in original language. But um, I like I said, I think people who have family members or elders to introduce them and guide them through the genre are lucky, but I it seems to be from talking to people, for most people, the discovery and nurturing of horror, interest and fandom in
Mhm.
childhood is a very solitary thing.
Yes.
It's a lot of like, for me, it was a lot of late night, in the basement by myself. Um, a lot of like under the covers with a flashlight, book reading, and that sort of thing. Uh, and I, part of the reason that I wanted to write as much as I could about it and in my life as an educator, nurture that as much as I could is because there are a lot of us and it can feel very lonely uh,
Mhm.
when you when you don't know that as a kid.
100%. Yeah. I mean, that's say what you will about the internet, but I mean that's been one of the really cool things about it. I can so resonate with what you're saying. Horror was a very solitary experience, honestly, through most of my life until really even just a couple years ago when I started getting
Mm.
involved with like Macabre Daily and some of the online horror community. Um, and then yeah, people like writing books about it like you is this other cool piece that just the idea that there are enough people to publish a book and for there to be an audience for it and have everybody read it and talk about it. Like it's kind of nice. You're one of those people who's actually fostering the community now.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do.
So, yeah, so I mean, talking about writing, and you started writing before this book. I know you're a contributor at Night Tide magazine,
Hmm.
right? And I think you've written for like Horror Homeroom, I read. Um,
Hmm.
I'm curious when did you first start actually kind of thinking about horror on that deeper level and start actually writing and putting some of these thoughts together? How did that happen?
Wrote, I have been writing forever.
Hmm.
Fiction, poetry. I got really into nonfiction and media studies, analytical oriented things in my 20s, my later 20s. But I never published anything until this book. And I wrote the book in about 7 months
Mhm.
after about 10 years of in the back of my head sort of conceptualizing it. That is my process. I'll just let something stew for as long as it needs to, and then
Mhm.
the meat thermometer pops up, and I know it's go time. If I'm mixing my culinary metaphors enough. And once I published this book, or once I sold the book, I thought, well, I'm gonna have a book coming out, so I should probably be have some other things I could point to. Um,
I need something to put on the about the author page.
exactly, yeah. I need something, and yeah, I need something to make anybody interested in reading the book. I need some proof of bona fides. So yeah, that was when I started wanting to write and publish things. Uh, Honestly, Letterboxd, which I joined in the beginning of 2015,
Okay. You were an
was
early
really
adopter, huh?
sorry.
You were an early adopter.
I guess so, yeah. It was really major for me.
Hmm.
Um, and I think you can track someone's Letterboxd growth by just looking at their oldest reviews and either usually one or two sentences, and they're very Rex Reed, objective, uh, kind of proper critique.
Hmm.
And then you sort of grow your hair out a little bit and you just start, doing personal anecdotes, jokes, subjective, viewer response things.
Yep.
Uh, and that was really, I think, a lot of the that's where I have some of my letterboxed friends thanked in the acknowledgments, because it really showed me like a kind of film critique that didn't have to be stuffy and wasn't worried about being objective, kind of, gonzo film critique, which has been going on forever.
Yeah.
um but I don't think I really encountered it in a concentrated way until Letterboxd.
Yeah. And I feel like I would imagine most people who write things would say something kind of similar. Like if that kind of highfalutin style of writing is what comes naturally to you, that's great. But I think for those of us who maybe write in a quirkier way or in a different way, you kind of have to, I imagine you have to go on this journey of just like embracing this is my voice, this is how I write, this is what I write about.
Yeah.
Um,
And you need somebody to tell you it's okay or show you it's
mhm.
okay.
Yes. That yeah, people are actually interested in those ideas.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that where the idea for Splasher Flicks like started to take form? Was it on Letterboxd?
I used Letterboxd.
Hmm.
I actually started conceptualizing the book before I got on Letterboxd, but one of the first lists I made was my swimming pool, horror films featuring swimming pools list, where I just dumped everything, every film that I could, think of, and added to it as I watched more and more. So that was like that was the bucket that I drew from.
Hmm.
But no, the idea for the book happened before that. I watched House 1985 and Gremlins 1984 back to back because I was unemployed, evicted, and crashing on a friend's couch, and had nothing to do but rent DVDs from the library while I tried to get back on my feet and get a job. And I just so happened to get those two at the same time.
Okay.
Uh, and watched them back to back and was like, huh,
Great
cool.
double feature.
Yeah, it is a good double feature, right? I don't want to belabor it too much because I read about it in the book, and I also, have said this in an interview before. But but for two films that are so superficially similar, they have significant swimming pools in them, but they use them in such different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I just idly thought, yeah, there's something here, and so that was when I started jotting stuff down.
Yeah. That's so fascinating just to like I'm, I mean, I don't know if you're the first person who did it or if other people have done this before, but like just yeah, just like latching onto this one specific element of a movie and just thinking like, yeah, there's got to be more examples of this.
Hmm.
Did you know right away immediately that like there are enough swimming pools in horror for me to really dig into this? Or did it take a while to figure out that there was something bigger there?
I did know that there were a lot, but I didn't think it was going to be a book. At first, it was I wanted to start a blog, which I never did. uh, I guess Letterboxd eventually became my film blogging platform,
Well, you skipped
but
the blog and just wrote a book. That's probably a better path.
well, shout out to my friend Wo Chan, poet, um, who I was talking to about it, and I was talking to them about how I wanted to start a blog, and they were like, "I can help you come up with a name." And they said, "Are there any horror films that have a word that sounds like blog in the title?" And the first thing that came to me was The Legend of Boggy Creek. And Woe said immediately, without missing a beat, they were like, The Legend of Bloggy Critique. And I still have a little bit of a regret that I never used that for anything,
Yeah.
but it's, I'm not going to do it. So anybody out there that wants, that title is free for you, The Legend of Bloggy Critique.
Okay, you heard it here.
Yeah.
It's in the public domain now.
Yeah, yeah, free game. Yeah, take it and be fruitful.
Uh, so I I asked you about like your horror origin story. But I know in the book, in the introduction, you kind of talked a little bit about your pool origin story too. Do
Yeah.
you mind sharing a little bit about that for listeners?
Yeah, of course. There are a few different pool origin stories for me. I don't know how far back to go.
Mhm.
There is a lot of autobiography in this book. It is not woven through everything, but there are plenty of asides because things like Poltergeist and Cat People are
Mhm.
films that have just been written about so much from so many different critical perspectives that the only story that hasn't been told about them is my own,
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I approach it. But I don't want to spoil too much from the book, but I think probably one of the most important parts was a dream that I had.
Mhm.
And I don't I don't want to I don't want to think of myself as somebody who gets all their ideas from dreams, but I kind of do. Almost everything that I've done that has been, successful or published or like put out in the world or whatever, whether it be fiction, nonfiction, music, or anything else, has its origin in a dream, in some way. But yeah, so I think I had a dream that I describe in the book that involved being raised in kind of a commune with a bunch of other boys who looked exactly like me, and we were just all we did all day was swim in the pool, and it was very encouraged. And I started realizing that boys were disappearing. Um, and I ended up realizing that they were being turned into trees. And it was all mothers who were in this commune. And I tried to escape because I didn't want to be turned into a tree, but I failed. And it was one of those dreams that ends with you, you know, essentially dying. Uh, and I don't know what it was about the swimming pool in that dream,
Mhm.
but it was this gigantic, like, just symbolic and literal center at the middle of the whole territory of the dream.
Yeah.
In terms of being an actual swimmer, I am not. And this is the thing I like. I think when I was thinking about doing press for this book, I I sometimes thought to myself, I don't want people to ask me about pools specifically outside of the context of the book because
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot to say about them.
Sure.
I like swimming in pools. I also like lakes and oceans and rivers.
Mhm.
I think I probably the lake is my ideal swimming location, and then probably ocean behind that, and pools probably third.
Yeah.
So I don't have an affinity for pools themselves. I'm much more interested in the symbolic and rhetorical work that they do in art.
Yeah. Well, in some ways, that probably makes you a better suited person to tell this story because if you have such a powerful personal connection to it, like
Mhm.
I mean, the autobiographical bits are interesting, but yeah, I could see that almost like taking over the story, and it just becomes like this is my relationship with pools,
Mhm.
where I felt like what you were doing in your book was really trying to look much more at like the universal meaning behind pools and bodies of water and how we interact with them. And that's yeah, that's going to make it a much more kind of generalizable reading experience probably for a lot more people.
I think that's the first time and maybe the last time that the word generalizable will ever be used in reference to a book like this,
To
which
this book.
yeah, which is astonishingly niche.
Yeah. It is, but it is really interesting. Like it's so niche and at the same time so universal. Like
Mhm.
eh, because yeah, I mean, who doesn't? Everybody has a pool story. Everybody has interactions with pools or water.
Mhm.
Um, and it is, it's, it's like one of the building blocks of life, right? And I, I'm someone who really likes swimming, and I think of it as not to get like too uh, kind of like holistic or spiritual about it, but I think of it as a very healing experience. Like the second my body goes into a body of water, I can just feel my whole, like all my cells just come alive and come alert. And it's
Mhm.
such an amazing experience. Um, then it can also be a site of like real fear and discomfort if you're not a comfortable swimmer. Uh,
Mhm.
there it is. It's just, it's one of those
Yeah.
things you wouldn't think about it, but once you start talking about it, you
Ah.
realize oh my God, there's a lot here. And
it
it's not.
works it works so well in horror because of a few things you said. Everybody has a pool story, and everybody has like a pool story involving fear
Hmm.
of some type, whether it be actual drowning fear or social anxiety.
Hmm.
Um, and we're not, we are land creatures, we are not optimized for water, but vestigially we once were. So there's that like teetering, there's that like toying with death and toying with the the weird in the classical sense
Yep.
of something that shouldn't be.
Hmm.
So there's an essential wrongness about a human being in water, but the Freudian approach is that any body of water is a womb surrogate, represents the womb. So there's a wrongness to it, but there's a simultaneous essential fundamental rightness.
Hmm.
I wanted to, there are so many approaches that I could have taken with this book. Uh, for a while, I toyed with the idea of trying to do like an oral history of people's pool fears.
Hmm.
Um, Surprisingly, many people have this irrational fear of a shark in the pool. It's like so many people, you hear that over and over again. Yeah.
100%.
Tell me about it. Do you know when that emerged?
Oh gosh. I mean, probably the easy answer is to say Jaws, right? Like, and
Mhm.
that, and I'm sure that affected a lot of us. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's been there forever. I think you described this in the book, but
Mhm.
as I read it, I was like, you might as well have pulled this from my brain. Just this irrational idea that you're in a pool, a concrete slab filled with water, and we're
Mhm.
still convinced on some level that some sea creature is going to come up and grab us.
Mhm.
I will swim laps as exercise sometimes, and no joke, multiple times. I just have this vivid picture of there's a shark right in front of me, and it's opening up its jaws, and I'm just going to swim into it, and that's that.
Wow. Yeah. So, that's another free idea for anybody who wants to take it. If you want to take it, do the oral history, just interview people about their swimming pool fears,
Hmm.
um, rational or irrational. And part of the reason that I ended up not pursuing that is because it does get into some very real life serious things
Hmm.
with children drowning, childhood safety and that sort of thing.
No.
I never knew a kid who had drowned in a pool as a child, but I know that it's, you know, distressingly common.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, probably pools. I'm thinking of this off the top of my head, so maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like pools and roads are the two things that from birth, we as a society, for good reason, are just drilling fear into our children from the second they are mobile. We are
Yeah.
telling them like these are kind of the two most dangerous things in the world. You have to be careful around them. And so, even as I say that, I think yeah, that fear of water probably way predated Jaws. It's like
Mhm.
it's just baked into our society.
Yeah, and the other thing, I write about this in the intro to the book, and I come back to it. I'm referring to that part of the book.
Mhm.
In terms of an origin story, I don't know how old you are, but I was born in 85. I very much remember, um, when was it? 1995 when Greg Louganis
Oh yeah.
revealed, I think he was already out at the time. He wasn't out when this incident happened, but at some point between then and 95,
Yep.
he came out. But he also, revealed his HIV status,
Hmm.
and everybody immediately went back in 88 at the Olympics when he hit his head on the springboard.
Yep.
And I remember, like, for some reason, the summer of 95 on the news just replaying, looping over and over again the slow-mo of that poor guy hitting his head,
Yes.
and so much outcry about he could have bled into the pool, he could have endangered others. Nobody's ever gotten HIV from a swimming pool, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's this enormous moral panic that, came up around it, and that led into this whole, there's like the visceral, I mean, I I don't think I had an opinion because I was 10. I don't think I had an opinion at the time about the HIV fear part of it,
Hmm.
but just there was a combination of the visceral, eh, almost exploitative replaying of this accident, um, and trying to scare people uh, about HIV. And you know, you get a little older and you realize Arthur Ashe wasn't treated that way. Magic Johnson wasn't treated that way because they were straight. Um, and then something about the contagion, the minoritized sexuality, and the pool
Hmm.
was just lit this moral panic fire under people.
Definitely. Yeah, I was just a few years older. I was 13, and
Hmm.
I still have very vivid memories of the same thing, just watching the footage, just like, yeah, not knowing what to make of it, but just seeing it over and over and over again. And
Yeah.
yeah, again, it's no wonder you take these just cultural touchstones, and that's what the horror genre does. We look at reality and we mine that for discomfort and fear and terror.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, again, it's one of those things like I didn't pay I know that I didn't pay that much attention to pools in horror, but now that I have read your book, having these conversations, it's no wonder there's so many pools in horror movies, and they're so cool to look into and dig deeper into.
That's what I wanted. That was my one and only intention in writing the book, to spark these kind of conversations. So I'm glad that it seems to have worked on you. Thank you.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I think I messaged you when when we were setting up this interview, right? That I had watched Valentine for the first time, and I know you
Hmm.
don't talk about. You made the choice not to talk about hot tubs
No
in your
hot
book
tubs.
because you got to separate it somewhere.
Hmm.
But yeah, I was watching the hot tub death scene in that just through a lens that I never would have before I had read your book, and it's so fascinating.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for that. I really smiled when you emailed me about that because, yeah, Valentine almost made it in the book, even though it's a hot tub,
Hmm.
because it's such a great, you know, um, hot tub scene. And it fits. It would have fit so perfectly into my chapter on misogyny and slashers, and
Hmm.
like male possessiveness as a motive for slasher killers,
Yeah.
of which, you know, the Prowler, uh, Slumber Party Massacre series. There are just so many of them. Even poolless movies like He Knows You're Alone.
Right.
Uh, it might be, I mean, in slasher films where the killer has a motive, it
Hmm.
might be the most common motive.
Yeah.
Just like the very basic incel, like, women don't want to sleep with me, so I am in, homicidal rage, which again, d doesn't feel like fiction.
No,
you
no.
know
I would, yeah, I'd push back against it, but you can't because
yeah.
it's real,
Hmm.
and us men have unfortunately earned that reputation, and I'm glad that horror movies kind of find a way to call us out on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, so your book, you split it up mainly into three sections,
Hmm.
um, kind of looking at different symbology or symbolism with pools. Tell me if I get any of these wrong, but there's like looking at pools as a site of secrets,
Hmm.
looking at pools as a site of sexuality,
Hmm.
and looking at pools as a site of social segregation.
That's right. Yep.
That right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All the alliteration.
Yes. This interview would probably end up being like 3 hours long if we said, okay, let's go through each one individually and talk about it. But I guess just maybe generally, did those three topics, were they kind of immediately distinct for you, or did it take a while to kind of categorize it in that way?
I wish I still had the notebook.
Hmm.
I'm sure I do somewhere. I wish I could dig it up where I first wrote that down because it was one of the first things that came together for me, or the first things that I thought of when I started this work, you know, 12 years ago. And it was one of those intuitive things that just happened naturally.
Yeah.
I was like, how can we roughly categorize these?
Hmm.
And it ended up mapping on really well to my main critical lenses. Um, the first chapter is very, or the first section, Secrets, is very psychoanalytical.
Hmm.
Uh, the second section, I mainly use, a feminist lens and a queer lens. And for the third section, it's very Marxist. My critique, especially of things like suburbia, uh, interloper movies and home invasion movies, and also vacation travel hotels, that sort of thing. It's just all about, like, social hierarchies.
Yeah.
Uh, and I don't know if my, I don't know if those critical foci evolved because of the three sections that I had created, but I think, yeah, I think probably they, were came so naturally because that's, the stuff that I like to write about.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay, cool. One thing I was wondering as I was reading it is I get the sense almost all of this is like your subjective interpretation, right? Did at any point while writing it or maybe since publishing it, have you like interacted with filmmakers or people involved with any of the movies you wrote about to see like did you get it right? Is your interpretation was it their intention?
No, I have not, and I don't care.
It's the
My
perfect answer.
Yeah, I'm not the first. I'm far from the first one to say this, but author intent is only part of the story and not the most important part of the story. I love filmmakers. I love storytellers. I love um, crew. I love all of the creative crew that makes everything happen. I was just hanging out yesterday with my best friend's husband, who is a prop master. Uh, and I love that side of things. But when it comes to me as a critic and as an analyst, I keep it completely diegetic. Um, the universe of the film, and just as no one can tell you, you can't get word of God as to why something exists and what something means in the real universe.
Yeah.
uh, I don't expect there to be a right answer as to what something means in this fictional universe. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'd love to talk to a filmmaker, but I would absolutely resist being told that I got anything wrong. And this is what's so fun about it.
Yeah.
It's very playful. You can go in any direction that you want, and as long as it resonates with you, the critic, it will definitely resonate with someone else, a
Yeah.
reader or viewer.
And that's what's cool about this kind of analysis too, is that just like kind of leaning into that idea that we are whatever we're creating. Like, I don't care if it's a movie, a book, or like just notes you're jotting down on a napkin. Like, everything we put into the world is influenced by something, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's very cool to just uh, kind of guess and explore, like, why did this person include this pool in this particular scene, or why did that person have to die in the water as opposed to in the changing room next door. It's
Yeah. I love this stuff, and it is playful. It is a form of play for me, intellectual exercise, mind teaser, kind of like doing a crossword puzzle or a jigsaw puzzle, figuring out, a way to put pieces together that makes sense for you.
Now, I'm curious, have you been able to turn it off since you wrote the book, or are you just like seeing the pools everywhere? So I know that's been my experience since writing it. I was watching The Bone Temple recently. I'm like, oh, the first scene is in an empty pool. Bring her back. The plague. There's
Yeah,
pools everywhere.
yeah. So I haven't seen Bone Temple yet, and last interview I did, somebody brought up Primate, which I also
Oh,
haven't seen yet.
yep.
But apparently that film, like the three-quarters of it,
Oh,
it takes place in a pool.
100%.
I it is, you know, I've said before that the it was worse before the book came out
Yeah.
because I locked the book in October of 24,
Mm,
and the book didn't come out until December of 25. So there were 12 months, uh, you know, uh, 14, 15 months during which any any film that came out that had, significant pool content in it, I uh, just was like, well, shit, somebody's gonna ask me about that, and they're gonna think it's a big omission because it didn't make it into the book. But I couldn't. The book's locked. I can't do it.
Your editor at
Bring
some point just says like no more pools. I don't care
Yeah.
what movie comes out.
If I had just been sending them like scribbled, handwritten sheets, like add this to chapter 14. Um, Bring Her Back was the one that hurt the most,
I'm sure.
because it came out like I think 7 months after I locked the book, and
Mhm.
I loved it so much. And it was like, I I think the best, most interesting horror film pool since Thelma, I think,
Mhm.
in 2017. I just thought it was absolutely amazing what they did with the pool and the symbolism in there. And yeah, couldn't do it. Ended up writing about it for something else that I did. And that's, yeah, that's I only say it half jokingly because obviously it's not like the last time I get to write about pools.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the book, it is the tragedy of something like this that a book like this gets, becomes obsolete the moment it comes out. Um, so if I had been really future proof about it, I
Mhm.
would have put the title The Swimming Pool in Horror Cinema 1948 to 2024. Yeah, would have covered my bases, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
what future editions are for, who's to say we won't, maybe you'll be back here in 10 years talking
yes, the
about
supplement, the
yeah.
appendix. Uh, and to answer your first question, I can't turn it off.
Mhm.
I don't think I'll ever be able to turn it off. But there are other things that I tune into as well. Um, I wrote a piece for Night Tide about slasher movie cops,
Mhm.
and now I can't watch a slasher movie without being critical of the cops. I mean, I can't live in a world where cops exist without being critical of the cops either, but you know what I mean.
Definitely. Yeah.
And there are a couple other things in the pipeline. Just I think when you get interested in something, a symbol, a plot point, a trope, you
Mhm.
you can't really just let it wash over you anymore. At least that's
Yes.
not how my brain
One
works.
more pun. I
One
love
more,
it.
yeah, yeah, got it in, got it in before the finish line.
Uh, well, so Cullen, I've loved this conversation, and we could, yeah, talk for 2 more hours as we go through your book and talk about every single pool one by one, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to subject you or the listeners to that.
That's
But that
what
would be,
reading, that's what book reading's for.
yes, exactly. So on that note, yeah, for people listening, how can they find you? How can they find and buy your book?
hmm so me, my link tree is just linktr.ee/Cullen Wade.
Mhm.
All my stuff is there. I haven't updated it in a while. I think there's a few new things I need to put on there, but you can get to all of my various endeavors through there. You'll see my byline around a few different places. I am now a staff writer on Night Tide. Um, so you're guaranteed regular writing from me on that platform. Um, Blue Sky at Cullen Wade. No punctuation. Instagram is fellow man underscore spit it out, which is uh, a name from another creative endeavor. Um, those are the two best ways. The book you can get wherever you get your books, but I highly encourage you to get it from the publisher, McFarlandBooks.com,
Yeah.
McFarland. Um, I am going to I'm going to get my shop in order where you can buy stuff from me directly pretty soon, but that's not set up yet.
Okay.
But the pool review zine is on the way, so keep your eye out for that.
Oh, fantastic. Well, let us know when that's ready to go, and we'll be sure to put word out about that as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, cool. Well, Colin, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for taking this time to talk to us. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Thanks for your interest and all your kind words about the book. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, Colin, have a great night, and everybody out in Macabre Daily World, you have a good day, and we will talk to you soon.
It's been a privilege.